Hey, what's up, guys? This is Crypto Clutch again. I'm just going to be making this another different video about repairing one of my hash boards on my Innosilicon A9. So right now on the screen you're seeing just this weird hash board that's, if you don't know what you're looking at, you wouldn't notice anything wrong with it. But there's two little spots right there that are missing components, which I'll show you in coming up photos. I didn't take any videos of this because, when I was using the heat gun / soldering iron, I was very nervous since this is the first time I've ever tried to fix a hash board, and ended up being successful. Just a little heads up. But so you see those little pins in the center of the screen where it says UL2. It's supposed to have a little point there, and then there's also supposed to be one up at the pad above the C13 resistor or whatever that thing is. But I just wanted to kind of make a video showing, that you can fix some of this stuff, with just a heat gun and, a little bit of knowledge, like some flux, which, I ended up paying $20. I probably didn't need all the supplies that I bought because I only used the flux and a heat gun. But I could have used, some more soldering if it needed more on the pads or, whatever. But, this was a really simple repair. All right, now this is the second picture. Obviously, you can kind of just, I think this is one where I had the stuff just laying there already, but that little gray circle, square thing, that's what I've put on. And then also those little black things, the little 4 pins on each side, that's what I was fixing. I had one of those pop off and then 2 of the little squares pop off. I don't know what those things are. I'm sure someone in the comments can tell me. But now the black thing, which I'm about to show you, is just that I probably didn't put the right thing on there, but I have no idea, what it does or anything. Well, this is after the fact. Well, anyway, so you see right between the capacitor and the thing that says 150, I stole whatever that black thing with the 4 ends on both sides, and even though this one has a pad in the middle, it still worked on the A9 hash board. I have no idea what that thing is. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments, but it definitely did work. So basically I just heated this thing up until the solder melted, and then I was able to use some tweezers and pull it off without damaging the the ends, the connection points to it. And then I just I originally waited another day because I was going to use some new solder and put new solder on it so it has a better connection. But I am not very confident with my ironing skills, so I ended up just using a heat gun throughout the whole thing. I just had it on the 4th setting on the heat gun and the max fan, and it ended up working really well. It melted the stuff pretty fast, and it didn't. I was scared about it blowing away some of the smaller connections, but it didn't have any issues with that. So we're about to go to the next picture here. So okay, now you can see what I was talking about. That little thing right there, I had to heat up and get the solder, the joints for the pads. I had to heat up the pads so that way that those things would connect. It wasn't really that hard. It just, that kind of makes me nervous, just because if I mess it up, these things are selling for like $300 to $400 right now, so it's not like the end of the world, and it's already dead, so what do I have to lose? But I really wanted to get this thing back on and working because it's making, just one hash board is making like $1 a day on this thing. So it's not a lot, but it's I already bought the hash board, and it'd be nice to have my farm working again. So this is the other part that I was working on, is this little silver thing. I really have no idea what it is. It might be like some sort of fuse, not a fuse, like a resistor or something like that. I don't know, but I had 2 of them pop off. I'm not real sure why, but luckily they stayed on the hash board when I took it out, and actually stayed there all the way until I got home, because I found them when I took them off the table. So that was fortunate, because otherwise I would have no way to fix it. So now this is just a picture, this is after I had heated it up with some flux. If I'll have a link to the flux, the wick, maybe even a soldering iron and a heat gun, and the tin solder. I mean, you can go to a local hardware store like Harbor Freight or whatever and get most of this stuff for pretty cheap. Now, I don't think they'll have Flux there. Flux, I mean, it came in one day and it was like $5 on Amazon. So, I mean, I'll definitely have a link to that below. But you just want Flux on there and, heat it up with the heat gun so it, spreads out. Because the whole point of that is just to help the tin make a better connection. So these pictures that are in the background, that's just me showing, after I repaired these parts. I took a picture and I already had it heated up, so if I took the tweezers it wouldn't move, like it would if it was just sitting there freely. So now that connector in between that silver brick and the black thing, it had moved over a little bit, but I think it didn't mess it up any, so I got lucky there. Because the air pushing it really messes. You can kind of see it there how it's a little bit further over to the right, just below the V1.1. You can see how it's kind of close to the black thing that I put on, but it still works, so that's good. So I put on the 3 components, which, I mean, it really was not that hard. It took me maybe 20 minutes just because I was very careful. I didn't want to, send some of those little resistors to oblivion, because those would be even harder to fix just because they're so small. But, it really wasn't that bad. But the biggest whole point of this is, if you have GPU risers, you can use components from those. I mean, those things cost $10, and it fixed a $100 hash board. And these things, when they first came out, were selling for $3,000. So this picture is just showing the hash rate that I was getting after I reinstalled the hash board, which, yes, these things are only supposed to get 50k souls, but I can get them up to 70k souls. Well, it's really 60 to 70k on average. It just depends on the amount of boards on the hash board. But if you have any questions, or if you know what those resistors are or whatever those things are, you want to leave them down in the comments. If you have any video suggestions, definitely let me know. This has been Crypto Clutch signing off. Make sure you go check out Red Panda Mining, and have a good one.